My sister-in-law used my husband to destroy our marriage and then turned everyone against me, making me the villain in a story of her deception and betrayal. I need to confess something that's been eating me alive for the past 6 months. I cheated on my husband of 8 years with his brother, and now I'm sitting in a studio apartment that smells like cigarettes and instant ramen, destroyed by what I've done. But the worst part? I let his manipulative sister-in-law orchestrate the whole thing, and she's turned everyone against me while painting herself as the innocent victim who was just trying to protect her family. Let me start from the beginning. My name is Sarah, I'm 32, and until 6 months ago, I had what everyone called the perfect marriage. Mark and I met in college, married young, bought a house in the suburbs, and had 2 beautiful kids, Emma, 7, and Tyler, 5. I was a part-time marketing consultant, and he was an engineer. We had date nights, family vacations, the whole American dream thing. But Mark's family. God, his family was a nightmare I should have seen coming from day one. His brother Jake was the golden child, 3 years younger, unmarried, successful real estate agent with that dangerous combination of charm and emotional unavailability that makes women like me do things. And then there was Melissa, Jake's on and off girlfriend of 5 years who treated their relationship like a reality TV show, and our family gatherings like her personal stage. Melissa hated me from the moment Mark and I got engaged. She'd make little comments about how some people just get lucky or how not everyone needs to rush into marriage. When I got pregnant with Emma, she suddenly developed fertility issues that required constant sympathy and attention. When Mark got promoted, she'd bring up how Jake was building his empire and didn't need corporate handouts. Looking back, I can see exactly how she played me. She knew I was feeling disconnected from Mark, he'd been working late, stressed about money, and we'd fallen into that deadly routine where we were more like roommates than lovers. She started inviting me to girls' nights where she'd fill my wine glass and ask leading questions about my marriage. "You know, Sarah, you're still young and beautiful," she'd say, her voice dripping with fake concern. "Don't you ever wonder what you missed out on by settling down so early?" I should have seen the trap. But I was lonely, insecure, enough to think she acred about my happiness instead of plotting my destruction. The first reel came at Mark's company Christmas party. I'd spent weeks planning the perfect outfit, excited to have a grown-up night out. But Mark was networking the entire time, leaving me standing alone by the bar feeling invisible. When Jake showed up, Melissa had conveniently gotten sick at the last minute. He immediately made me feel seen again. "Sarah," he said, looking me up and down in a way that made my stomach flip. "Mark's an idiot for leaving you alone looking like that." We danced. We laughed. He remembered things about me that my husband had forgotten, like how I hate mushrooms on pizza and how I wanted to learn Italian someday. When he offered to drive me home because Mark was too, I said yes. Nothing happened that night. Just stolen glances and the kind of electric tension that makes you lie awake questioning everything about your life. But Melissa texted me the next morning, "Saw the photos from last night. You and Jake look so cute together. Mark's lucky to have such a fun wife." "Photos? What photos?" She sent me 3 pictures someone had posted on social media, Jake and I mid-dancing close, laughing at the bar, him helping me with my coat. In each one, I looked happy in a way I hadn't felt in months. And Mark was nowhere to be seen. "You should have more fun nights like that," Melissa added. "Life's too short to be tied down by someone who doesn't appreciate you." The S is so subtle I didn't even realize it was happening. Over the next few weeks, she'd casually mention how Jake had asked about me, or how he'd said I seemed unhappy at family dinners. She started suggesting we all hang out more as a group, always finding excuses for Mark to be busy or distracted. Jake and I ended up talking alone. "I think Jake has a little crush on you," she told me one afternoon when we were watching the kids play. "Not that I blame him. You're everything I'm not, stable, maternal, put together. Sometimes I wonder if he's with the wrong person." I should have shut it down right there. Should have told her she was out of line and that I loved my husband. Instead, I felt a sick thrill at being wanted by someone who'd never looked at me twice before we were family. The emotional affair started slowly. Jake would text me funny memes during the day. We'd have deep conversations about life and dreams and all the things Mark and I had stopped talking about somewhere between mortgage payments and bedtime routines. He made me feel interesting again, desired again, like I was more than just Mom and Mrs. Mark Peterson. Melissa encouraged all of it. She'd invite me over when Jake was there, then find excuses to leave us alone. She'd suggest we all go out for drinks, then cancel last minute after I'd already gotten a babysitter. She was the puppet master, and I was too focused on the attention to see the strings. The physical line got crossed on a Thursday night in February. Mark was at a work conference, the kids were at my mom's for a sleepover, and I was feeling sorry for myself. Melissa texted asking if I wanted to grab dinner, and when I showed up at the restaurant, Jake was there instead. Melissa had to cancel, he said with that crooked smile that should have been a red flag. But I was already here, and I figured you could use some company. We talked for 3 hours. About everything: my dreams before marriage, his fear of commitment, how we both felt invisible in our own lives. When he walked me to my car, I was buzzing with wine and something that felt dangerously close to falling in love. "Sarah," he said, standing close enough that I could smell his cologne. "I need to tell you something. I think about you all the time. I know it's wrong, but I can't help it." I should have gotten in my car and driven away. Should have called Mark and confessed everything right then. Instead, I whispered, "I think about you too," and let him kiss me in the parking lot of a TGI Fridays like some pathetic suburban cliché. That kiss lasted maybe 30 seconds, but it destroyed 8 years of marriage, 2 innocent children's sense of security, and any respect I'd ever had for myself. When I got home that night, my phone was already buzzing with a text from Melissa. "How was dinner with Jake? You two have such a special connection. I hope Mark appreciates what he is before someone else does." Even then, even with my lips still tingling from another man's kiss, I didn't see what she was doing. I thought she was being a friend. I thought she understood what I was going through. I was an idiot, and my children are paying the price for my stupidity every single day. The affair lasted 3 months. 3 months of sneaking around, lying to my husband's face, and letting Melissa feed me justifications for destroying my family. "You deserve to be happy," she'd say whenever guilt started eating at me. "Mark takes you for granted. At least Jake sees how amazing you are." She'd volunteer to babysit so Jake and I could meet at hotels. She'd cover for us at family dinners when our stolen glances got too obvious. She'd even help me delete texts and clear my browser history, like some twisted accomplice in my betrayal. That was good, not earth-shattering, not worth destroying everything for, but good enough to make me forget that I was throwing away everything that mattered. Jake made me feel beautiful and reckless and alive in ways I'd forgotten were possible. But more than that, he made me feel chosen in a way Mark hadn't in years. What I didn't know was that Melissa was documenting everything. Screenshots of our text conversations. Photos of us together that I didn't even know she was taking. Hotel receipts she'd somehow gotten copies of. She was building a case against me while pretending to be my biggest supporter. The trap snapped shut on a Saturday in May. Mark had taken the kids to his parents' house for the weekend, and I was supposed to meet Jake at our usual spot. But when I got to the hotel, Melissa was sitting in the lobby waiting for me. "We need to talk," she said, her voice cold in a way I'd never heard before. She had everything. Photos of Jake and me kissing in the parking lots. Screenshots of our sexts. Credit card statements showing hotel charges on days I told Mark I was shopping or at yoga. She'd been collecting evidence for months, waiting for the perfect moment to detonate my life. "Here's what's going to happen," she said, spreading the photos across the coffee table like some twisted tarot reading of my future. "You're going to end this little fantasy and tell Mark everything. Tonight. Because if you don't, I will. And when I do, I'm going to make sure he gets full custody of those kids, because what kind of mother chooses over her children?" I begged her to let me handle it my way, to give me time to figure out how to minimize the damage. But she just smiled, that cold, calculating smile I should have recognized years ago. "Oh, sweetheart," she said, "you still don't get it, do you? This was never about you having a little fun. This was about proving that you never deserved Mark in the first place. And now everyone's going to see exactly who you are." That's when I realized Jake wasn't answering his phone. She'd used her boyfriend to destroy me, and he'd gone along with it because destroying me meant he could keep her. I drove home in a panic, my hands shaking so badly I could barely grip the steering wheel. When I walked into our house, the house Mark and I had painted together, where we'd brought our babies home from the hospital, where we'd made 1,000 small promises to love each other forever, I found him sitting at our kitchen table with a manila envelope in front of him. "Melissa stopped by," he said without looking up. "She was worried about you. Said you'd been acting strange lately and she thought I should know why." The photos were already spread across our kitchen table. Our kitchen table, where we ate family dinners and helped kids with homework and planned birthday parties. Now it was covered with evidence of my betrayal, each image a knife through the heart of everything we'd built together. Mark looked at me with eyes I'd never seen before, not angry, not just empty. Like he was looking at a stranger who'd wandered into his house and destroyed his life for no reason he could understand. "How long?" he asked. 3 months, I whispered. "In our bed?" "No. Never in our bed." "Well, that's something, I guess." His voice was so flat, so defeated. "Get out, Sarah. Pack a bag and get out. We'll figure out the rest later, but I can't look at you right now." I packed like a zombie, throwing random clothes into a suitcase while my marriage dissolved around me. The kids were still at his parents' house, still innocent, still believing their mommy and daddy loved each other and always be there to keep them safe. When I left that house, I didn't just leave Mark. I left my whole life, my identity, my children's security, everything I'd ever worked for or cared about. And I did it for a man who'd been playing a game I didn't even know existed. Jake stopped answering my calls that same night. 2 days later, I saw on Facebook that he and Melissa were taking a romantic getaway to work on their relationship. The comments were full of people praising them for fighting for their love and not letting outside forces tear them apart. I wasn't an outside force. I was a weapon she'd loaded and aimed at my marriage, then discarded when the damage was done. The divorce papers came a week later. Mark was asking for full custody, claiming I was an unfit mother who'd prioritized an affair over my children's well-being. His lawyer had copies of everything, every text, every hotel receipt, every lie I'd told to cover my tracks. My lawyer looked at the evidence and told me to prepare for supervised visitation if I was lucky. "Your husband's case is airtight," she said. "Infidelity, deception, putting the children at risk by destabilizing their home. Unless you can prove coercion or some kind of extraordinary circumstances, you're looking at seeing your kids every other weekend if the judge is feeling generous." That's when the real began. 6 months later, I'm living in a 500-square-foot studio apartment above a pizza place, seeing my children 4 hours every other Saturday and watching my ex-husband build a perfect new life with my former best friend. Yeah, you read that right. Mark is dating Rebecca, who was my maid of honor and supposedly my closest friend for 10 years. Turns out Melissa had been working on her, too, planting seeds about how Mark deserves better and how Sarah was always selfish. Rebecca was there to comfort Mark when I destroyed everything, and now she's the woman tucking my children into bed every night. The custody hearing was brutal. Mark's lawyer painted me as a manipulative adulteress who traumatized 2 innocent children with my selfish choices. My lawyer tried to argue that the affair was emotional manipulation, but when they put Jake on the stand, he calmly testified that I'd pursued him aggressively and that he tried to end things multiple times. He lied under oath. Smooth as silk, looking the judge right in the eye while describing how I'd thrown myself at him and begged him to leave Melissa. How I'd do myself if he didn't continue the relationship. How concerned he'd been about my mental stability. Melissa sat in the gallery dabbing her eyes with tissues, playing the role of the betrayed girlfriend who'd tried so hard to save my marriage despite my horrible treatment of her brother-in-law. I wanted to scream. I wanted to show everyone the texts where she'd encouraged me, the photos she'd taken of us, the conversations where she'd told me I deserved better than Mark. But I deleted everything in my panic, and she'd somehow kept copies of only the messages that made me look predatory and unhinged. The judge awarded Mark primary custody. I get 4 hours every other Saturday, supervised by a court-appointed monitor because Mark successfully argued that my pattern of deception and manipulation made me a risk to the children's emotional well-being. 4 hours. Every other Saturday. To see the children I carried for 9 months each, nursed through midnight fevers, taught to ride bikes and tie their shoes and say their prayers. Emma won't even look at me anymore. She's 7 years old and she's learned to hate her mother because everyone she trusts has told her that mommy is a bad person who daddy. Tyler still hugs me, but he calls Rebecca mama now and asks why I don't live with them anymore in that heartbreaking way kids do when adults have failed them completely. Mark won't speak to me except through lawyers. His parents, who used to call me their daughter, have blocked me on all social media and refuse to let me attend family events where the kids might be present. My parents are disappointed and need time to process what I've done to their grandchildren. I lost my job because the stress made me useless, and word got around our small town about what I'd done. I'm the cautionary tale people whisper about at soccer games and PTA meetings, the woman who gave up everything for a fling with her brother-in-law. The financial devastation is almost as brutal as the emotional destruction. I'm paying child support, I can barely afford, a child living in poverty, because Mark got the house, the savings, everything we built together. My lawyer cost me what little I had left, and for what? To watch my husband's family lie under oath while I got painted as a monster? But the absolute worst part is watching Melissa's victory lap. She and Jake got married last month, a beautiful ceremony where my children were the flower girl and ring bearer, where Rebecca helped plan the decorations, where Mark gave a touching best man speech about family and loyalty, and standing by the people who matter most. I saw the photos on Facebook before I deleted my account. My kids looked so happy, so loved, so completely integrated into this new family structure where I don't exist. Melissa was radiant in white, finally getting the wedding she'd always wanted with a man she'd trained to lie for her. Jake looked relieved, like he'd finally found peace after the difficult time when his brother's unstable wife had tried to kill him. They're the victims in this story now. Melissa is a strong woman who saved her relationship despite my attempts to destroy it. Jake is the innocent man who was pursued by his brother's manipulative wife. Mark is a devoted father protecting his children from their mother. Rebecca is the angel who stepped in to heal a broken family. And me? I'm the villain who destroyed everything good in her life for 3 months of hotel with a man who never loved me and was just following orders from a woman who wanted to watch me burn. I tried to tell people the truth. Tried to explain how Melissa had manipulated the whole situation, How she'd encourage the affair while documenting it for evidence. But who's going to believe the woman who cheated on her husband with his brother? Who's going to take my word over theirs when I've already proven I'm a liar? The truth doesn't matter when you've given your enemies all the ammunition they need to destroy you. I haven't spoken to another outside of custody exchanges and work interactions in 3 months. I eat dinner alone every night while my children eat with their new family, the family that replaced me so seamlessly. It's like I never existed at all. I watch Netflix until I fall asleep, wake up in the same clothes, and drag myself through another day of existing in the wreckage of choices I can never unmake. Sometimes I drive by our old house, my house, where I planted flowers and painted bedrooms and believed I was building something permanent. Rebecca's car is in the driveway now. Her plants are in the windows. She's probably reading my kids' bedtime stories in voices I used to do, making them laugh with jokes I used to tell. My children are growing up without me because I was too lonely to see that I was being played by someone who hated me enough to sacrifice her own boyfriend's integrity just to watch me lose everything. Mark will never forgive me. My kids will grow up thinking their mother is the woman who abandoned them for an affair. Rebecca will be at their graduations, their weddings, holding my grandchildren someday. And Melissa gets to live happily ever after with the man she trained to help her destroy another woman's life. I didn't just cheat on my husband. I gave his family the tools to erase me from my children's lives, and they used those tools so expertly that everyone believes they're the heroes and I'm the monster who deserved everything I got. The worst part isn't even the loneliness or the poverty or the public shame. It's lying awake every night knowing that my children are better off without me now, because the woman who replaced me loves them instead of using them as pawns in a game I never even knew I was playing. There's no coming back from this, no redemption arc, no moment where everyone realizes they were wrong about me. This is my life now, watching my family heal from the damage I caused while I slowly disappear from their story entirely. Some mistakes don't get forgiven. Some choices can't be undone. And sometimes the person you think is your friend is the architect of your destruction, patiently building your prison while convincing you to lock yourself inside.